Greeting, traveler.
Change your mind.
You require my assistance? We're gonna be rich. Require my assistance? Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
Greeting, traveler.
Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Yes, we get to start making hump day jokes, and yes, you are that much closer to the weekend. But more importantly, Wednesday is the day of Tavern Talk, the show where we like to make hot takes and bad takes alike, sometimes simultaneously, depending on the mood that we're in. I am, of course, one of your co-hosts, J.R. Jugger Law, and tonight we've got a fantastic show for you. It is what we call the Playoff Picture Time. We are in the last week of the regular season, and we're going to be talking about a lot of matches, but we're also going to be taking some time to discuss our predictions for who's going to make playoffs in each series. But before we can get to that, I, of course, have to talk about my co-host for tonight. First off, we have the man, the myth, the guy who is the master of OPs, the man who is not part doctor, but as I always say, he's most certainly part fish. Say hello to Dr. Fish.
Oh, hello, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, we have a really good show for you guys tonight.
Yes.
We do have a nice special guest to welcome in.
You know, I was going to make a joke about Geranium being here and be like, you're not Geranium, but I guess I'm not doing that.
Sorry.
Nah, I'm kidding. Don't worry.
Sorry.
No, we do have a very special guest, though, tonight. Instead of our lovely fellow Geranium, we have a very special guest who is a veteran of THL, who has been around probably about as long as I've been in THL, possibly a little bit longer. He's the captain of one of the longest-running Legacy Series teams in THL. Please say hello to Cop.
Hey guys, how's it going? Super excited to be here. Yeah, looking forward to it. Bear with me because it's my first Tavern Talk, but yeah.
I thought it's your second.
No, it's my first. I mean, I've done like
right.
seasons ago. I did
You
some
were
like
right. Also reigning champion.
Yeah, you were on.
Legacy captain.
Yeah, you were on at the end of the last season. Yes, that would be your one.
Oh yeah. For like a quick interview.
Yeah, for the interview.
Yes. So now he's got full cam set up, full co-host set up. He's got all of the benefits and all that stuff. So he is ready to properly contribute and show us what we have in store for today. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Hero, Pro, and Legacy series. We're going to be going over the standings in each series and talking about where everybody stands and who we think is going to make it in terms of playoffs. Obviously, it's a little bit different for each series, so we'll discuss that as we get to them. So we'll be starting off for now with Hero series. Going through the standings there. Now, this one, obviously, we've talked about this before. Hero is the one going through, is the one with the most interesting set of playoff, setup, I should say. Because the format for this series is going to be that it's going to be the top 3 teams from each conference, as we previously discussed, and the last 2 spots are going to go to the 2 teams between the remaining 8 teams with the highest amount of points. So that means we could end up getting 2 more teams from Teal, 2 more teams from Purple, 1 from each. It's all going to depend on the playoff standings, the point standings after the week is over. Now, of course, we're looking at the standings right now, and as you can see, the teams that are currently at the top of Purple Conference are Golden Wisps, APM Yin, and at Diamond. For Teal Conference, we have no pros here, the Unknown, and make a 5 seed out of a molehill. For both now, I would say the top 2 spots from each the top spot from each conference is pretty uncontested at this point. No pros here, in theory, could end up having their spot overtaken, but it's definitely going to take a big week from either the Unknown or make a 5 seed out of a molehill to take that. And then for Purple Conference, they're just, Golden Wisp are just completely out of reach. They are having a perfect season going in, and I won't lie, I fear for the team who has to play them in the very first round.
It's crazy. 30 points ahead.
Exactly, right. So they're currently 21 points ahead of APM Yin. But as you can see, the most amount of points that APM Yin can end up with is a 158. So even if they win the rest of their matches and deny Golden Wisps any points, it's still not going to change a damn thing. So, and then of course, as we saw, we have the teams that are currently right behind the third place teams, that being APM Yang and F2L Black. While they definitely have some decent points to make up, it's very doable at the moment. So what are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, especially because APM Yang, like they already have a win in the match column. So if
Yes, they do. Yes.
it's still pretty
Which,
tight, like right, like the max number of points left is 19. So like the most they can get is what 129.
yes, exactly.
So yeah, that basically means like make a 5 seed out of Mohill can only win what 5 or 6 points, 7 points for a tie.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's for
eight, 9 points minimum. But yes, that's always one of the things that we talk about when it comes to THL in general. We find that from a mathematical standpoint, teams are often not technically out of contention, but because of how easy it is to get a certain minimum amount of points, trying to overcome a big deficit can be really hard. So 11 points here, for instance, while it can be done, it is made very challenging by the fact that, as Comp just pointed out, make a 5 seed wouldn't have to get that many points this week to prevent APM Yang from passing them.
Yeah, right. And APM Yang would have to win out essentially and make a 5 seed.
Exactly, right.
Lose out, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Fish, what would you like to add to the conversation here?
So, I think the top 3 teams from each I feel like those are kind of the locked. I feel like there's not much that can take those teams out of playoffs. Even if something like APM Yang having a huge week, make a 5 seed out of a Molehill having a struggle week. I still think that I still think that the teams that are there are in a very good spot. I mean, I think essentially the top 3 teams in purple are almost guaranteed playoffs. At Diamond, not mathematically locked in, but they just need a couple of points and they're locked into the playoffs.
Exactly.
Right. Really, it just comes down to those 3 teams: F12 Black, APM Yang, and Hordeon Main. And we have some of these matches on display. The only one we're not talking about is F12 Black. Spoilers. Yeah. So F12 Black is playing LeBron, which in theory is a very good match. LeBron has 1 win on the season and a tie. They did tie. No pros here, but I mean, they definitely can play spoiler and try and keep us out of the playoffs. I think this is I mean, I'm very confident that my team will get the points to make playoffs and we'll squeak in. It's been
right.
It hasn't been as pretty as last season went for us, but playoffs is playoffs. You take it.
Exactly.
And Hordeon Main and APM Yang are gonna good start for APM Yang there for sure to get to win their first match.
Right.
And we'll kind of talk about those 2 teams in the matches that we've picked. I think even though APM Yang having the advantage with this first win, it's close because they do have 6 points advantage right now, but Hordy hasn't played any matches, but
right.
And so I think I don't know. Like, my gut tells me Hordeon Main is gonna make it because they're gonna have a huge week, but I don't know. I think I would put money on the top 3 teams in F12 Black. Not a lot of money, obviously, because I'm not a big gambling man. I expect those 7 teams, and then it's close for the last spot.
Okay, I would say I think that's good. I'll say this: I think that, for me personally, even though I could definitely see Hordeon Main pulling off an upset, I think this is going to be the current top 4 teams from each conference are going to be the teams in playoffs. That's going to be my prediction. That's
perfectly good.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's mine too.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think we could all agree on this. Like, really, I think realistically, the only team that maybe plays spoiler here is Hordeon Main, which is possible. But again, we got to kind of see what happens. Like, the good news for them is they could definitely take on APM Yang, because while they are down 6 points right now, APM Yang does have a match play. So coming into this week, they were only down 2 points.
It was 2 points, yeah.
So a lot can happen. But F2L Black, by comparison, like, they're probably getting in one way or another, as long as they don't have like a big loss. The only way they don't make it is if somehow APM Yang and Hordeon Main both passed them this week.
Yes.
Which
I
possible,
mean, technically,
Definitely doable.
technically
Yeah.
possible, but the 8-point
Right.
gap between Hordeon Main and F2L Black is a lot to
Exactly.
is a
Even
lot
8
to
points is
overcome.
hard to overcome. I will say this. I think if F2L Black gets a decent amount of points, or even just wins this week, I think they're locked into
Yeah,
playoffs in
they'll
some
make-
form.
Yeah, we'll make
Just
it.
a question of the seeds. I think where the
Yeah.
seeding comes into play, my prediction is like, if I had to guess, I don't think that APM Yang or F2L Black are going to like get into the top 3 of their
I
respective
don't think
conferences.
so. It's
But
tough.
Right, but I do think F2L Black will end up taking the 7th seed,
Mhm.
and APM Yang will end up taking the 8th seed, which would be a bit rough for them because they'll have to end up playing against Golden Wisps if that's the case.
Mhm.
But we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
I mean, F2L Black wouldn't have it much easier with NPH. So, or actually
This
with
is true.
with APM Yin or NPH. So, yeah, because seeding in playoffs is just points. So
Exactly.
APM Yin and Golden Wisps could just be 1 and 2. No pros here could end up in the 3 seed. It's just all points based.
It's gonna be interesting to see that all play out because
Yes.
matchups could end up making for a very interesting prediction week when next week comes around.
Yeah, especially if you play a team you already have experience against.
Right.
So it's
But-
going to be interesting what we get in playoffs.
Agreed. And I think now is a good time to
It
segue
is.
into our first match, which is going to be the match I picked. I decided to go with what I think is probably the most, I guess in my opinion, I think it's the most relevant of the matchups. Just because both of these teams have like, so here's the thing. I think I think all 3 of these matches have some kind of playoff implication, and I think are relevant. I think we did a good job of picking the 3 most significant matches. This one, though, I'm the most excited by because, like I said, APM Yang is in a position here where they could, in theory, make it into the top 3, or at the very least, to just keep themselves in playoff, like in the playoff conversation, in the playoff contention. And No Pros here is in an interesting spot because they're obviously looking to make sure that they keep that the top spot, the top seed of the Teal Conference, as well as we were saying before, they could end up getting passed by APM Yin if that depending on how they perform this week. So it's also worth mentioning, as you'll see on the screen, that NBH is playing with 2 subs this week. Rusenho is coming in for HMPWE. And Vampire Nighthawk is coming in for Pasca.
Yes, for Pasca,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say because Pasca I think is not playing in Legacy, but he is playing in Hero. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, he's playing Hero. He's has had an excellent Hero season in the regular season, going 7-1.
Right.
So,
and as it's been established,
big
like
up
we
for
said,
him.
NPH is making it. NPH is making it.
Oh, no,
they
they're
don't really
locked.
have anything to lose by subbing in players.
No.
I don't think this is gonna if you have to sub in, you have to sub in.
Mm-hmm.
This is honestly a great week to need a sub given their position.
Yeah.
And then APM Yang not coming in with any subs, and they're starting off with a big win. KSW getting the Skittles on the seed. KSW definitely needing that win. He was coming into this week with the least amount of wins for APM Yang, and that's very clutch at that point. He is really this is a team that's just looking to maximize his points right now. That's a great way to do that. So that leaves us with 4 matches: Rusenho versus Genji in the 1, Mumked versus Jammies in the 2, Vampire Nighthawk versus Nomad Farmer in the 4, and Clarity versus Yfair in the 5. I think this one is going to be pretty exciting. I think No Pros here definitely has the advantage despite the subs, purely based on record. I think your Mumked and Clarity are going to take wins in the 2 and the 5. And I think Nomad Farmer is going to take a win with Vampire Nighthawk in the 4. So I think it's really going to come down to Genji versus Rusenho. And if I'm being honest, I got to give the edge to Genji here. He's having the most success on this team this season. He's a very solid 1 seed, having seen some of his prep and some of his Master Tour prep from our shared Discord. It's it's very interesting seeing like what a knowledgeable player he is. So I think he's got a really good shot here. So I'm going to say APM Yang is going
I think it's gonna be a very close week. I think Vampire Nighthawk coming in the 4 is quite good. Vampire Nighthawk typically playing in the 2 or 3 in Legacy. But it looks like he's had a bit of a PR decline, or at least he's played in Hero with a lower PR to have it be separate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having him come in as a 4-seed sub is quite good. I think I give Genji the edge in the 1. I mean, excellent player, like first season in THL, and he's probably not leaving 550 PR anytime soon at this point. Ked versus Jammies, a very, very great match. I'm a big fan of Jammies. I'm a big fan of your mum, Ked. I think Ked is having a hotter season, so I think he'll continue it, get the 8-1 record. Vampire Nighthawk versus Nomad Farmer. I think Vampire Nighthawk is a really good sub, and I think he's going to be able to come in and get the win over Nomad Farmer. And Clarity versus Wyfair. Man, Clarity, I'm very pleased to see Clarity having good seasons. Even though I guess 4-4, he's 500, so coming back and being able to kind of hold ground. There's a lot of really good 5 seeds in Hero now.
Right.
That's gotten the seed that specific seed's gotten better and better every single season. And this is a tough test for Clarity. Wyfair is an excellent player. I think Clarity can pull the upset off, though. I think MPH gets the 3-2.
It's definitely close.
They win in matches and points. I don't know about points, but I think that they'll win in matches because it could, it could end up pretty close. So we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. I think I'm more with JR. I feel like APM Yang is gonna win, and I actually am maybe gonna root for like a bigger upset and like a big week for APM Yang.
Right.
I feel like Rosino, like certainly subbing in, like at where he's subbing in.
He's a really good player.
He's good, but Genji is also really good, and he's 6-2, and has the experience in Hero. So I'm gonna say Genji wins. Ked versus Jammies, I agree. I like both of them, but I'm kind of rooting for the underdog, and I'm kind of rooting for APM Yang to put up some points and get a good seeding. So I'm gonna go with Jammies in the 2. KSW already won. Nomad Farmer. I agree. Vampire Nighthawk is freaking awesome, but I don't know. I'm just feeling the underdog story this week. I'm gonna say Nomad Farmer wins, and then I'm gonna say Wyfair beats Clarity. Purely like just on kind of record and again, go underdog, go APM Yang.
Yep.
Awesome.
I mean, I will say, one of the only, despite the PR difference, Clarity is one of the 5 seats I definitely know better compared to others, and I feel like his PR is always very misleading.
Yeah, because he came in at such a low. He came in at like the lowest PR you can have in THL, and so it takes so long, especially if you struggle at first. It takes so long to actually rebuild your PR to go above 50.
I would honestly compare him, and this may sound like a weird comparison, but bear with me. I would honestly compare him to Saku. Both of these guys have pretty much always had like very low PRs, but it's very misleading when you actually consider they've had a deep amount of success throughout their time in THL.
For sure.
Like they're pretty established veterans of the of THL as opposed to some like new person coming in with 50 PR who doesn't really have much experience. That's just something that's kind of been consistent for them over the course of their time in THL. So, so that's kind of what I would say. But I think this one is going to be really exciting because again, win or like the thing is, we could end up with a situation obviously where APM Yang wins and they still kind of end up in the 8th seed or playoffs. But like they could beat No Pros here and maybe they're still the 8th seed, but No Pros here is no longer at the top of Teal. That's where like a lot of this gets very interesting. So I think there's going to be some form of repercussions like where one team won't be in the position they're currently in now after it's over. But time will tell.
Time indeed will tell.
I think we should move on to our next match.
I agree.
Fish, you did pick this one, if I'm correct.
Oh no, this is Comp's match.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Hordeon Main versus Korak City, and as we were talking about before, this is kind of a big match for Hordeon Main to make the 7 or 8 seed, and potentially the top 3 in Teal for sure.
Yes.
It's a good match, and it's looking like like the 1 seed we've got Mr. Python 4-4 versus Run Mexico. That's gonna be tough for sure. Heat Shock is subbing in the 2 seed, against Dande. Dr. Bombed is in the 3 seed against the Big Ted. Jespine versus Anful. And the 3 in Bite Size AC versus Quaz in the 4. So definitely feels like this is going to be pretty pivotal for Hordeon Main and for the playoff picture in general. What do you guys think in terms of predictions, guesses?
Comp, I would like you to start off with what do you think your predictions? What are your predictions?
So I'm like, I know I was all in for the underdog last match, but I think this one is going to be Hordeon Main's.
Yeah.
I'm going to root for as many teams competing for the 7-8 seed as possible. So I think it's tough to go against Ron Mexico. Like, he's so freaking good. But I think I'm just going to go all in, right? So I'll say Mr. Python beats Ron Mexico in the somewhat upset, maybe not. Heat Shock, I think, will be a loss, but maybe the 1 loss. I'm going to go for a 4-1. So Heat Shock's going to lose to Dande. Dr. Bomb, I think, is going to beat Big Ted. Besides the record, like, they're both good players. Chespin, I think, same with Anful, and Bite Size AC, I think, is due for another win against Quaz. So I think that's my guesses. What about you guys?
It's interesting because this one, there's several factors to consider because Hordeon Main only needs to beat APM Yang by 2 points in order to pass them because, as Bone Master's pointing out in chat, yes, they do have the tiebreaker over them. So I think APM Yang is going to take their match and just barely edge out over Hordeon Main. But there is, crazy enough, a realistic scenario where Hordeon Main, where both of these teams win and Hordeon Main still passes. So I don't know. I think Hordeon Main is going to win this. I do think that between Heat Shock, Dr. Bomdi, and Jespine, I think they're going to win. It's just really going to be a question of, do they get enough points to pass APM Yang? They're going to really want, like, this is a situation where even when you lose, you want to be maximizing those points. You absolutely want to be getting as many points as you can. And I'm very excited to see if, we're going to see like a lot of like close matches. Are we going to see a bunch of sweeps that kind of make that less likely? Who knows? My prediction.
Hopefully, it'd be great if we go into Sunday not knowing and like going to the last couple matches. I'm not sure when the match times are going to be, but that's always the best tension. And anticipation.
This is going to come down to the wire, I think. My prediction is going to be that Hordeon Main wins, falls just short. But again, who knows? We also have to consider the possibility that F2L Black doesn't win their match and they're able to pass them to make it. There's several scenarios where Hordeon Main can definitely make it. But I would say they really want to focus on getting a big win here, first and foremost, and then hoping that NPH takes a win over APM Yang.
Yeah. I think that this is still a relatively close match. Heat Shock subbing in for ABC. Like, Heat Shock's, he's played so many seasons of Hero at this point.
Wait, it's ABC. Don't you mean, wait.
No, Heat Shock is subbing in for ABC.
I thought, wait.
Yeah.
Which team was Nails playing on?
Nails is on LeBron.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Nails is on
Duh.
is playing my team this week. We've got Python versus Ron. I always root for Ron. It's tough again. Python playing another person that that are either an AMG player or just someone I love to root for. I think Ron's gonna get the win. I think Heshok's gonna get the job done in sub. Being a sub, I think Heshok always tends to always kind of be able to figure out metas, kind of figure out the game when it's a little bit in flux. So I think he'll have some crafty things up his sleeve. BOMD versus Ted, I think goes to BOMD. I mean I've seen Ted playing on stream and he's either barely losing and he has some nice wins. He does have one of the wins for his season on stream. So it'll be a close one. I will favor the doc in this one. Jess versus Onfall. I mean, Jess is on fire right now. I think Jess is gonna take this one. And then Bite Sized AC versus Quaz. I think Quaz will take it down in the 5, and that'll be a 3-2. So I think they'll also. I think they're gonna fall. I think they could just fall slightly short. I think Ron versus Python is like the closest. Is probably the closest match out of the set. So I could see it going. If it goes Python's way, I could see Hordeon maybe making that push. But I do. I think if it's. If I'm predicting 3-2 for both, that means that APM Yang would make the playoffs off of that. Unless they're...
I agree. Python versus Ron is going to be the pivotal match, I feel like.
I agree. I think that one is the hardest one to call. And I think, I could see Donde getting a potential upset against Heatshock, but I think Heatshock might actually have the advantage of not having past lineups for to look at, to kind of guess where he's leaning towards. So,
definitely.
Heatshock's Heatshock. I feel like that kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
So, I think he's got I think this one's going to be very close.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely will say, I definitely don't see Hordy on main making playoffs without a win. I think that part...
I agree.
Obviously, if both them and APM Yang lose this week, that is still possible, but I'm going to make the prediction and say that's not what happened. So, yeah, this one is all sorts of complicated to
I feel like APM Yang putting up that first match win or first game win is pretty huge.
That's also a valid point. That's one less win that they have to worry about getting this week. So and again, you could argue that win is particularly important because it was their player with the least amount of wins coming in, who was arguably the least favored, getting a big win over opponents. So I'm very excited to see how all this is going to unfold leading into next week. So we got one more hero match we're going to talk about.
Yes, indeed. And
this one is a features match.
Yeah, I have gone over to the purple Well, it's actually a cross-conference match. But I have featured a purple team. We have at Diamond versus the Unknown. Very exciting match this week. We have matchups always just in time versus Bach for Life. Bach for Life is back in THL. Always nice to see his name. Always nice to see his name. We've got Turtle versus Chewy, Wild 9 versus Magnificent, or Magnificent, and we have Diamond versus Falfix, and Super Buckles versus Jim Philos. So Diamond's team has been doing very well this season. They started off kind of slow at first, but they picked it up in the back half of the season. I think this is a very interesting match. I think Bach coming back, he's been doing very well on ladder. It seems he's pretty high up on ladder, and Onfall, thank you for the Prime sub. 36 months. That is 3 years. That is a long time. Thank you so much for your continued support of THL and for your Prime subscription.
I've got 32 months, and I'm
yeah.
like, I thought that was a lot.
Don't forget, everyone. If you have Prime Gaming, you can sub to the channel for free.
That's what I've been doing for years now.
Yeah, I think so. Going in to the actual matchup, who I think will win. This is important because it can deal with seeding within. It can deal with seeding within the playoffs. So Justin versus Bach for life. Definitely, yeah. He posted that he was 14th place recently on ladder. So, he was kind of struggling towards his ladder time in THL before he took a break his last time taking a break. I think he's definitely like high caliber enough player to go against Justin. I think the fact that he doesn't have any lineups to really look at, I think it's gonna be a lot about I think it's gonna end up being quite a lot just about how these players view what classes are kind of best to bring for the week. Justin's always been on top of things. I think that's probably that's the match I'm most interested in total. I'll come back to who I think will win on that. Turtle versus Chewy. I think Turtle's just been putting on a clinic this season. He doesn't seem to be giving up a lot of points when he's winning, and only 2 losses on the season in total. Chewy also having a pretty good first season. Big fan of. I know Chewy's an excellent player. Mech versus Wild 9. I think Turtle will end up taking that one. Wild 9 versus Mech. Two extremely evenly matched players. And I'll give it to Magnificent here. Diamond versus Falfix. Dang, 6-1 versus 6-2. I do not bet against Diamond. So I think Diamond takes
Not
that.
really, at least.
And then Buckles versus Jim Philos. I want Buckles to get. I'm gonna say Buckles gets his first win. He's been getting better and better throughout the season, and I'd love to see him get his first win against Jim Philos. Both are excellent players. Jim's having a very good season as well at 5-3, and I think it's pretty likely Justin wins based just off of the fact he's played more this season, but it's a close match. I think I'd give the nod to Justin if I had to just put that out there, but as Sharma was saying, do not sleep on Bach. He'll come prepared. So it's going to be a close one.
Top 100 legend player. What the hell?
Yeah, he's always been a good player, just sometimes struggled during the seasons. So
Freaking.
And what's crazy is I'm guessing based off the fact that his name is Black is that I don't know, is he a perma or is he just subbing for the week to Sharmo? Because I feel like maybe he's just not in red because I pulled this from Purple Conference instead of from Teal. I'm gonna guess he's just a 1 week sub. So Desharmo will be back for playoffs, or whoever your regular 1 seed is.
I'm trying to remember for heaven's sake. We've covered.
Oh, it's Molestar. It's Molestar.
That's right.
It's Mole. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you
That
for
makes
the
sense.
information.
Which is funny
Mr.
because he's not
Desharmo.
on Molehill. Or Molehole, excuse me. Molestar not on the Mole team.
Mm-hmm.
Hee hee.
Yeah.
But this one's gonna be interesting because, like you said, I think at this point both these teams are basically locked for playoffs. It's just a question of what's their seeding going? Where do they end up? Ranks. At Diamond, I feel like they're probably pretty secure in the 3 seed, the 3rd spot for Purple Conference. They are, they're a decent amount of points ahead of F12 Black, but they're a decent amount of points behind APM Yin. So it's possible for either differences to overcame, but it is definitely going to be tough. So they just want a big win to maximize their chances and to have some momentum going into the first week of playoffs. Looking at these matchups, I mean, oh god, it's close for most of these. I like a good underdog story. I'm gonna bet Bach beats Justin.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as that might sound, I'm gonna say Turtle beats Chewy because honestly, as great as Chewy is, Turtle's Turtle. That's just kind of where I'm at. Wild 9 is ridiculous right now in the 3 seed. He has no business being in the 3. I'm gonna say he takes it over Magnificent. Diamond, I'm not betting against Diamond here. Diamond the last couple seasons has just been on fire in pretty much everything he does, whether it's captaining, playing, etc. And then I'll give Jim Philos the win in the 5 though. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be 3-2 at Diamond at Diamond.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's hard to bet against that Diamond and Diamond this week, like going through the matchups. Although I think it'll probably be a little bit more lopsided. I feel like it's hard to bet against just in time. It's hard to bet against pretty much anyone at Diamond, right? Like Turtle's the same. Wild 9, I'm kind of biased because he's my 1 seed and he's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But there's it's hard to bet against him pretty much ever. But certainly as a 3 seed. Like you mentioned, Diamond is having an amazing season. I'm kind of like I've had seasons where I'm like 0-8, and it's like I'm super rooting for Buckles to turn things around and pull out the win.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, this is just his, like, he's just picked up the game for a few months now. He's definitely learning the game pretty well. When I faced him, it was definitely a close match. So I've just been pulling for him every time I see the team to get his first win. All right. So that's going to conclude the Hero Series portion of our show. We're going to move on into Pro Series. I'm going to go ahead and pull the standings up. We've got our 2 conferences. We have some bye-week teams that we're looking at. And I think Pro is definitely kind of shaping up to be the playoff picture's looking very clear. In some regards, like when you look at the bye team, so in Black Conference F2L, they're at 138. I believe they are mathematically locked for playoffs. So we have 3 locked teams out of Black because everyone's a winner taking the week, I believe. I don't no, they haven't 100% locked the week. They haven't won the week, but they have clinched playoffs through points.
Right.
So APM and APM versus Taggers. I mean, this makes it very difficult for APM to not make playoffs because there's a 10-point gap. They'd have to get absolutely smacked by They'd have to get smacked by Taggers in every seed to not make playoffs. At this point, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly.
Pink Conference is a bit closer. A lot of it, I think, will depend on seeding. I think seeding will be a big part of what happens. Yeah, Taggers absolutely needs to win by 12, which rarely happens in THL. Yeah. So I think that I think the Black Conference is pretty much like kind of figured out. It's just going to be, can your team get enough points to pass everyone's a winner for the 3 seed? Or will your team end up being the 4 seed for Black Conference? For talking to obviously Bone Masher in chat. Right. I think Pink Conference is very interesting. Brushy Tuna, I have to guess, is probably locked for playoffs at this point. They'd have to.
Oh, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. Like, not mathematically speaking, technically, but the thing is, only one team has a realistic chance of passing them.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So It's just gonna come down to, and I think Swagoi, by not getting a lot of points it looks like they didn't necessarily. They didn't get a lot of points last week. It looks like. So they're pretty much looking at needing Popeyes and no pros here to get beat pretty badly, but that would allow teams below Swagoi to actually pass them.
Right.
So yeah, I think
I
don't think they make. I just think they don't make it now. For the boys needs one more point and they pass and they're already in, or they're in over Swagoi, and then Popeyes and no pros here both only need 8 points. They need essentially the equivalent of 2 match points, 2 match wins in points to pass Swagoi. I think Swagoi's out. I think Brushy Tuna for the boys, Popeyes, and I do. Yeah. Oh, okay. So they already won the head-to-head. So for the boys is actually already in play. Is already above them, I should say. Technically, with tie breaks, if For the boys gets full swept, they would still. Right. And the other not enough teams pass them, they would win over Swagoi. Yeah. So they've technically passed them through tie break, but I think it's just going to come down to Popeyes, no pros here, essentially, and NPH. Yeah. For the last teams, and I mean they're pretty. I think they're far enough ahead that those will be the 4 teams. Make Love Not Warcraft and EU greater than NA would have to, or Heat Shock Team no pros here would have to have some good weeks. So that's my thing. I think that playoffs for pro is kind of clear. It's just seeding at this point.
I would agree. Comp, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Sugoi probably being out. I mean, almost be like you could lose the week and still have come up with 8 points, pretty easily. So
the thing that is really sad that I will mention before, sorry to cut you off, but will mention is that Swagoi unfortunately got pretty much wrecked by For the Boys last week, 18-7.
So that would be what happened.
One of their matches, and we had kind of talked about this last week, but if they got a decent amount of points, they could have easily just been in like a good spot, because right now they're basically at a point of they need a team to do really badly.
Yes.
Versus whereas if they had done better last week, other teams would have needed to meet like a higher threshold to pass them. But continue.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things too where like every point of every game in every series like matters, right? Like because at the end of the season you look up and you're like, potentially a couple points out. So yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's Brush Tuna for the boys, Popeyes, and no pros here. I think make Love Not War, like in general, like I think it's hard to make up that many points from that many teams, right? Because say like Popeyes or no pros here like does really poorly, then Sugoi will make it. So I think it's you're looking at 4 to those top 5 for sure, and then it'll just be really interesting looking at the matchups as we go through them.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, because if the problem right now, as Fish pointed out, is that the teams that that Swagoi wants to have really weeks are playing against teams where if they get enough points, they could potentially pass them anyway. So it doesn't look good no matter what. Like the only scenario in which they win, in which they make it, is if like Popeye's Chicken Sandwich or no pros here have like a very low scoring week, but then the team that beats them doesn't have a huge win for that week either. So it's hard to imagine a scenario like that being possible, let alone it actually happening. So I hate to see it, because I was really rooting for Swagoi and I was really applauding them for having they had a good run. I think it's very impressive that despite their struggles in getting match wins, they were getting a lot of points per week. So I would love to see an upset here, but it just does not seem likely. But then for Black Conference, I do think is interesting as well, if even in a different way, because F2L is locked. Clowns Reloaded is pretty pretty much locked.
They're pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, they're locked.
They're very likely. They're very likely to just lock the one. They'll very
Yeah,
likely just lock
exactly.
the 1 seed this week. Like
Yeah.
they haven't played a single match, and this team
everyone's
hasn't lost yet. So
Right.
or they've lost once. My apologies. They did lose. They lost to APM.
Yes.
So I am
They did.
I am mistaken in my words there. 6-1, but
Right.
they're probably gonna lock the they'll probably lock up the 1 seed here.
Yeah, I think Clouds
it
are
would be
voted.
very shocking for them to not get 8 points this week.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, even if they somehow lose, I think they're still going to overtake F2L. And everyone's a winner, obviously. I
points
think
per
they
week
need
is
like
pretty
1 or 2
crazy.
more points to just lock it up. Lock up their spot. So, and then I think APM is going to hold on to their spot as well. I think that yes, Taggers, if they get a big win over them, could in theory pass them, but I just don't think that, I don't think it's going to be a big enough win for Taggers to overcome that deficit. If I'm giving my own personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could see even that, like, they played 1 match, Tigers won, but APM still picked up 2 points, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's really, like, you really have to sweep. I mean, spoilers, that's going to be one of the matches we talk about, but
Yes. Yep. So I guess that's kind of where we're at. We all kind of seem to be on the same page. There are obviously, again, possibilities of some upsets happening, and there is a lot of the seeding for them very much up in the air. But nonetheless, we got several matches we're going to talk about. So let's start with the first of the pro matches now, which is the match I picked, and I decided to go with the matchup that, on the surface, doesn't necessarily seem like the most relevant, but I thought it would be good to talk about it anyway, just because it is 2 of arguably the best teams in pro right now going up against each other, and this could end up having big implications for the overall seeding. So this is Brushy Tuna versus For the Boys. We got Ron Mexico's team versus Diamond's team. And I am here for all of this. Both these teams are having really strong seasons. Brushy Tuna currently undefeated and looking to continue that undefeated streak going into the playoffs. And For the Boys, literally just need like 1 point to. I think we said they're basically locked.
Well, do the tiebreakers, even if they got full swept.
Right, so they're
if it's them versus Swagboy for the 4th spot, then they would get it.
Right,
because of tiebreaker. Exactly.
So I think the only team that would stop them is like if somehow Make Love Not Warcraft passes them.
If a third if that was to happen, and then other teams, Dab says 5 points is guaranteed, and I think that's going to happen, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. 5 points is guaranteed, right?
Yeah,
so
I think
at
that's
that point,
good. You're good.
Exactly.
Yeah, like there are mathematical scenarios, but like as Bone Master said for Savoy,
they're so it's so difficult for
very rare. Yeah,
for that to actually happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, just looking at this match in general, we've got some big powerhouse matches coming on. We've got ourselves. That's right. 5 points gets them ahead of EUNA. That's wait, hold on.
Yeah, well, EUNA 23 point. Like they would have more points than EU greater than an A could actually get, which is why they're locked.
But hold on. In theory, can't Popeyes?
No, but they can't. They'll still very likely make playoffs.
Right, because they're playing against each other, so they can't all pass them. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are playing each other.
Sorry for that. I forgot about that. Yep, we were literally just talking about that. Thank you, Dabs.
Yeah. In other words,
why is it EU versus NA? And then I'm like, right, because it's like in a mathematical situation, there's no way all those teams could actually pass. Right. So 5 points and For the Boys are locked. Matchups wise, we got McBannerface versus Super Chicken, Ron Mexico versus Dabs, Lotus Knight versus German Shep, Ridiculous Hat versus Jack Weiss, and Based Inc. versus Dardar Binks. Is there a match here that I'm not excited for? Answer is no. There is not.
Yes.
So, man, I guess it's a question of, do we think For the Boys gives Brushy Tuna their first loss, or do we think Brushy Tuna is going to continue to be all Brushy Tuna and keep winning? Because I'm going to say Brushy Tuna gets that 8-0. I'm going to say Bannerface, Dabs, Lotus Knight, and R Hat take wins over For the Boys. With with McBannerface, Lotus Knight, R Hat taking, and then Dabs and Darter Binks taking wins for the boys. So I'm going to say Brushy Tuna wins in a close 3-2, but still getting that 8-0 regular season finish that I'm sure they're wanting.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's hard to pick against like pretty much anyone on Brushy Tuna, especially with the momentum of going 7-0.
Right.
So I
Exactly.
kind of agree with you. Like, how do you pick? Yeah. I think Banterface versus Super Chicken, maybe that'll be close, but I'm gonna give the nod to Ron, Lotus Knight, Ridiculous Hat in the 4. Base sync. I think it'll be 4-1 Brushy Tuna.
I mean, it's definitely one of those matchups where, what I think what surprised me the most personally is that Brushy Tuna is obviously doing very well. It's not like they haven't. It's not like they have like a bunch of undefeated players that are keeping them undefeated. Most of the players have at least 2 to 3 losses, and they've still managed to always get those wins when they need them. So I think that's a testament to how clutch their wins have been throughout the season. Fish, what would you like to add?
So we have, I mean, these are all excellent matches, obviously. Banter versus Chicken. I rooted against Chicken last week to try and put a caster curse on Glee.
Why though?
Because Diamond asked in the chat last week.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Right.
I really wanted Chicken to win, even though and that match was excellent. And as we see, Chicken now does have a 1 in his record, but it's another close one. I think I'm gonna lean Banter though over Chicken, and that's being a big fan of both players. Dabs versus Ron, man. Why does the THL matchups give me Ron versus player I really really like?
Because that's the story of THL.
Yeah, I mean it really is.
Especially pro.
But I gotta say my boy Bobby Dab's gonna take it home.
Bobby Dabs.
Dabs in the 2. Shep versus Lotus.
Dab in solitude.
I think Shep's gonna keep it rolling in the 3. I think Dabs will take it. Dabs, Shep, Hat versus Jack Weiss. Jack Weiss definitely looks like got a win last week. Gonna have a tough one against Hat, but I think Jack Weiss in the 4. I think For the Boys does hand Brushy Tuna their first loss, and I think Base takes it in the 5. No, I actually would have ended up on Dabs regardless. I know that Dabs has been playing excellent Hearthstone lately, so I do think For the Boys hands Brushy Tuna their first loss. It'll be a close week though, for sure.
I think so too.
I think so too. I always feel like teams that are that do so well with kind of they don't have the crazy point total as say like Golden Wisp from Hero.
Yeah.
Like that means that like they kind of everyone pulls their punches and pulls their weight, and like everyone like it's a team win.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always hard to beat against those teams. Like to argue against those teams, honestly.
For sure.
That's fair.
Yep.
All right. So we can jump to the last pro match, which is
we have 2 more pro matches
I picked.
Yeah, we have 2 more. So that's the first one. Comps match is next.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the next one, right? So as we were talking about avenging like APM versus taggers, for sure it's a question about whether or not taggers can come from behind, come back. They are they picked up the first match with Battle Tagger beating ABC. I do think kind of just looking at that match already kind of shows you why APM is just favored for the playoffs, is that they pulled out 2 points, and that alone means that Tigers has to do that much more this week. So I still feel like eventually like APM is going to be favored for playoffs pretty much no matter what, even though I think by and large looking at the matchups I'd go for APM to pull out the win, despite the first game loss for ABC. I think Reverb is going to beat Seth. Despite like the great season that Seth's had. I think same with Sabretooth. Magnificent, I think, is gonna eat, squeeze out Otters, and Chewy against Lasagna as well. But I still think no matter what, I think APM has such a lead on Tigers that they'll pull out the playoff
Mhm.
seed for sure. What about you guys?
I definitely agree with your main points. I think that I feel like APM is just going to really try to get as many as they can, and I
Mhm.
think they're in a pretty good spot. Obviously, Taggers, it would see them get a big upset, but I want to see my boys on APM really take it to playoffs. And I think with the matchups that are coming up, see the problem I think that ends up that you end up noticing is when you see like the difference in records and you see like APM having quite a bit of momentum on their side. I think especially when it comes to 5 seats, I feel like they're going to have a bit of an edge. So I think I do think Reverb is going to take it in the 2. Sabretooth is going to take it. I do think that Otters is going to take it in the 4, but I also think Chewy's going to take it in the 5. So I think APM is going to take it 2. I feel bad rooting against my boy Rice Bowl, but I think APM is just, they got the edge here. I think even if Sabretooth doesn't win, I think maybe Magnificent will. I just think they're either gonna get the win or they're going to accumulate enough points to keep themselves ahead of Taggers. So yeah, I think I that's how I expect it to play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like Bone Masher is in the chat, so like they just have to win, right?
No, Bowmaster, you can't go
I agree.
0-5 to miss playoffs 2 seasons in a row. I agree. I think it's gonna be a close week. Taggers getting that first win is pretty key. Reverb versus Seth is a really good match. I think Reverb will take it. Saber versus Rice Bowl. I think Rice Bowl will take it over Sabretooth. Um and I think then I think Mech and Chewy will take wins for APM, and it'll end up being a 3-2 win. So I think that's gonna lock them into playoffs.
Seems good. Seems
Mhm.
good.
So essentially, Dabs, all that APM needs is more points than Taggers to make playoffs. So they're already well ahead. Yeah, no more than 11 less than Taggers. So technically, they could lose by a few points and still just make it.
Well, right, because it's
Yeah.
obviously 12-point difference.
Yeah.
So that type of point difference is going to really, I think, realistically, they're going to have to win by, like, they're going to have to win 4 out of the 5 matches overall, and even then, that doesn't guarantee it, depending on how many of those wins are through 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. They'd have to not give up 6 more points, which is hard.
Roughly.
I mean, yeah, they would have to if Taggers won every match, then APM wouldn't make playoffs, but that's very unlikely. I think that's just not going to happen.
It's possible, but
Yeah,
it's
unlikely, but it's possible. I think APM is just going to make it. They've been doing well all season. So I think they finished the season strong.
Yeah.
All right, so got one more match to
We got
talk
one
about.
more.
Yes, one more match in pro. We have Popeye's spicy chicken sandwich versus No Pros here. I'm gonna quickly check if there's a result in the Justin match because there are bans, so I will just quickly check in case there's results. Yes, Justin took a 3-1 victory over Valdis. So Popeyes is currently up 4-1, which it looks good for them. So I will only predict we'll just go through the last 4. Lambie series versus Heat Shock, Honest Zabe versus Ufric, Myanodon versus obviously, and Mr. Beluga versus C-Mac. Very close matches record-wise. Popeyes is now only like essentially one win away from passing. I believe they're one match win away from passing Swagoi in points. So I think they'll get that for sure. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see some, especially like a matchup like Lampy versus Heat Shock. Swagoi doesn't get any points. Wait, do they get +3?
No,
No.
that's just how it's displayed
Oh yeah.
on the standings. No, they don't. When you have a bye, you get 0 points.
Yeah,
So
you don't
they
get any
are-
points.
Right, they are done for the season. 113 points is what everybody has to beat.
Yeah. So they're
and-
Popeye's sitting at 110 right now. So
Exactly.
So it looks good for them. I think Lambie versus Heat Shock. I don't know. Like I feel like Heat Shock's just gonna have something up his sleeve, but I still feel like on paper Lambie should win. But I think I'm gonna pick Heat Shock. Zabe versus Ufric. I'm gonna pick. I think I'm gonna pick Zabe here. Myanodon versus Avi. I'm gonna go for Avi. And that's still a close match regardless. And then Mr. Beluga versus C-Mac. I think I'm gonna go with Mr. Beluga. There's some mind games here with Lambie submitting 2 lineups on Thursday. One for MT before. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, that could happen. With having to submit for Masters Tour before submitting for THL. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. I have this favoring Popeyes with a 3-2. So what say you guys?
I mean, you know what? Comp, you go first. I'm still kind of thinking about this one.
Yeah, I mean it's a good like set of matchups for sure. I think you're right, Fish, that Popeyes probably makes will overtake Sogoi no matter what, because even just one win will do it, but just any combination of three points
Yeah.
will do it. Which is pretty hard for them not to. Especially with Justin winning. I think in general, like it's gonna be close for sure, but I think Popeyes will eke it out. I think I'll actually go with Heat Shock over Lambie series. I think Zaib's gonna beat Ufric.
It's Zabe. Honest Zabe.
Zabe.
I made that mistake for a while too.
Avi. That's hard. Like a lot of these pro matchups, man. Like it's just like it's
Yep.
tough because they're all good players.
Yep.
But I'll give the edge to Myanodon and Beluga over C-Mac, I think is what I'll say. So I think Popeyes will win decisively and it won't be close. Playoffs wise.
Yeah.
What about you, Jer?
This is hard. I mean 12 points, as we've discussed, is a hard deficit to overcome. So I feel like Popeyes probably does win this one and make the playoffs, but it's also like it feels very close. It feels closer than I would expect. Because like you said, Lambie versus Heat Shock. I think that could easily go Heat Shock's way, despite Lambie's incredible talent. I feel very confident Zabe's going to take it over Ufric. Myanodon versus Avi, I feel like is going to go the way of Avi. And I think C-Mac is going to take Beluga. So really, I think it's going to come down to Heat Shock versus Lambie. And I definitely support the pick of Heat Shock, but I'm going to say Lambie Series takes it and Popeyes takes this one 3-2.
All right. Yeah, this is gonna be a super close match. But yeah, let's get going to a quick break, quick commercial break for to give some information to our viewers, and then we'll be moving over back into our Legacy Series matches to close for our final series.
Fish, may I?
Yeah, you can do it.
All right, cool. I'm not going to be able to do it as fast as Geranium, and I'm not going to do a rap breakdown on this, so just a heads up there.
Good.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Tavern Talk. If you are enjoying our show, please make sure you check out Around the Saloon and the Maniacal Tournament series on Mondays, and Ronnie Tuesday on Heart Center on Sunday that you'll never guess. Perhaps you're looking for the Missing Fourth series, a look into the Wild Wild West with Wild and Out. Are you still asking, where's my content? Well, we stream THL matches each night from Thursday to Sunday, starting at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. All evening match schedules are to be determined by caster and player availability. Side effects may include knowledge and fun. But wait! That's not all. We also have incredible matches on weekend afternoons on Schoolstone. Precise times and days are subject to availability. Speaking of which, please consider subscribing to our Twitch channel. This subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating our website and improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. And I see someone asking in our chat. Oh, yes, I do see it. What is Twitch Prime? Sorry. What is Twitch Prime? Well, if you have Amazon Prime or Prime Prime Gaming, you can sub to the channel for free. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team streams live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website at teamhearthleague.com, our Twitter at @THL_HS, our Discord Team Hearth League, and the THL POW podcast, wherever podcasts are sold.
Pow.
Pow! Now, of course, we've got one more series we're going to be talking about, and that is, of course, the biggest series of them all, the series with 24 damn teams. I'm, of course, talking about La Legacy!
Ooh. Bobby dabs with that 6 months with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much.
Dabs, did you dab upon, did you dab after you subscribed? Because I need to know. Because I hope you dabbed. Otherwise, it's less significant. So
he did.
Thank you, Dabs. Much appreciated. So as we've talked about in the past, Legacy is pretty straight. Just like with Pro, Legacy's playoff situation is pretty straightforward, with one exception. That, of course, being that unlike in Pro Series, not only do we have seeding that matters, but there's also going to be a bye round for both the teams that finish first in their conference, as well as the team that has the highest amount of points among the teams that do not finish at the top of their conference. And as we've seen from the standings now, well, there's a lot that could happen. So at the moment right now, we've got, of course, our three conferences: Gold, Silver, and Red. Gold Conference is I would say, is pretty set in terms of who's going to make it to the top. Red Conference, it's a bit more contentious. And Silver has it the closest, where there are actually 4 teams that could realistically walk away with that top spot. So we have a bunch of talk about. I'll try to make this quick, since I know we're already running to the hour and nearly 20-minute mark. But I'll start with Red Conference first. Red Conference is definitely in a very interesting spot. I would right now, Just Win and F2L White are both locked into playoffs, but very much fighting for that top spot in the conference. MU, OH Hearthstone, Dad Legend, Chaos Theory, and Everyone's a Winner, and F2L. Yeah, all 5 of them, they could all realistically make it. It would be hard for Everyone's a Winner and F2L to pass Dad Legend, because that's like a 10 to 12 point gap, but it is still possible. The team that I'm really looking out for right now is Chaos Theory. Oh, sorry, not 10 to 12 points. Excuse me, 6 to 8 points. 6 to 8 point difference. I forgot Dad Legend does have a win already. Mm-hmm. The team I would say watch out for is Chaos Theory. They're having a pretty solid season. They are somehow tied with Dad Legend despite having 2 more wins than them, and they are definitely in a good spot to, I think, take the playoffs. Now, we will be talking about one of the matches in this conference, and I think that once we talk about that, you'll understand why I think top 4 spots are going to be Just Win, F2L White, MUOH Hearthstone, Chaos Theory in that order. For Silver Conference, we've got ourselves a very highly contested conference. To me personally, I don't think the top 4 is going to change right now. Golden Wisps can technically pass one of the teams above them, but I think it's going to be a tough task given they have at least 12 points at minimum that they have to overcome over Hot Zilfs. But I don't necessarily feel certain about what the seeding is going to be for Silver. I actually think that All Points Matter is going to take it. It's going to pass the Cooler for the top spot, and it's going to be All Points Matter, the Cooler, Hearthstone Academy, Hot Zilfs. So I don't think there's going to be much change, but I also could easily see that. I could see a lot of that not coming true, considering the Zilfs are only 2 points behind HSA. And of course, HSA is only 6 points behind All Points Matter. I mean, for all I know, HSA is actually going to take the top spot, and that would be absolutely so. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that unfolds. And then finally, Gold Conference. I mean, Clownstone Academy is basically locked in the top seed. I am not going to say that they don't make it. And Defias and Pod People are sitting pretty comfy in their respective spots. For me, obviously, I think the fight is going to be between IDK and Fish for that 4th spot. Golden Showers are technically not out of it, but they have a very tough road to climb. I think IDK, just like last season, is barely going to sneak in there, and we are going to get that final spot in Gold, and I think it's going to be Clownstone, Pod People, Defias, IDK in that order. Boom. What do y'all think?
So so I'll go just in order. I'll go Gold Conference, Clownstone Academy. I think that not only will our team get the bye, I think with a strong week against our opponent, I think our team is going to be the number 1 seeded team in Legacy. I think we're gonna have. I think among bye teams it does kind of matter, because if you have that number 1 bye spot, you play the lowest seeded team remaining after the first round. Pod People makes it, Defias makes it. I think those teams are very unlikely. Yeah, I mean, I could say it's going to be just an absolute blowout, but IDK already has 4 points against our team. So, yeah, I think...
I wonder if we'll be talking about that match, Fish.
I think, yeah. Oh, it's so
Crazy.
tough. Like, Fish is playing Defias is the other thing.
Exactly.
So...
It's like,
yeah.
Oh god, there's going to be some intense matches for sure.
Definitely.
And that's cool, because also those matches going to end up factoring into the overall seeding, even if Defias ends up winning.
It could, yeah, definitely.
You know?
I think Pod People are gonna. I think Pod People have a good chance to sneak up and actually get that 4th spot in the buys. But between IDK and Fish, that's so tough. Just for the fact that I think that our team is going to be I think if our team is well prepared, I think we could keep your team out of playoffs. But I'll say your team makes it. I'll say your team gets enough points. I mean, our matches are going to be close, so I think IDK. I think Fish also can just struggle against Defias. Defias is a super, super good team. So, I think IDK makes it over Fish.
Woohoo!
They get more points than they get that extra. They sit 1 point ahead at the end.
It's going to be close.
It'll be super close. Red Conference, Just Win, I think the way it looks now, F2L White versus Dad Legends being pretty close, which is good for Dad Legend that they're getting points. But I think MUOH, Hearthstone, F2L White just win, and I think Dad Legend makes it. I think they get enough points. I think they hold off Chaos Theory. I think Chaos Theory, everyone's a winner, is too close of a match, and I think Dad Legend takes that final spot.
See,
It's close.
my bias against Yellow Dart aside, yeah, I have to go with Chaos Theory over Dad purely based on records and momentum.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
And then Silver Conference. I think the 4 teams we see are the 4 teams we're getting. The top 4 teams. There's a big enough point gap between Golden Wisp, between the Wisps and the Zilfs. So
exactly.
Seating order, it's not too big of an issue either way. One of those teams will be a bye team. One of those teams will probably, between APM and Cooler, I think one of them. I think Gold Conference holds that final bye spot in Pod People. So I think whoever doesn't get there will have to play in the first round. But yeah, super close stuff. We have quite a lot to go over for matches.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I will say it is very interesting how what I love to see is that every conference kind of has its own storyline going.
Yeah.
Gold has 2 teams really fighting for that last spot. Red Conference has a bunch more fighting for that spot, and more teams that are kind of in jeopardy of just falling out of playoff contention at the very last second. And then Silver Conference has 4 teams that I think we agree we all feel pretty confident are going to make it, but the actual seeding order feels very up in the
Yeah, I mean 10 points separating the 1st and 4th seed. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's close.
and it's
even if that team doesn't overcome the 10-point gap, they could easily overcome the gap with the other teams ahead of them. So it's all right, a lot could happen here.
For sure.
And that bye is very sought after. So let's start out right now with the match I picked, which, I mean, Fish and I are co-hosts, and I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out I had to go with IDK versus Clownstone Academy. But hear me out. I also justify it because even though Clownstone Academy...
This is an important match.
Clownstone Academy does feel very securely, in a sense, getting that bye, I do think. But at the same time, they want to hold down their dominance. They want to get a big win because it's also we also should mention that even if you're only looking to get that bye, finishing top of the conference, the overall point totals will still carry over when it comes to reseeding once we have our top 8 teams.
Yes.
So in an ideal world, you want to have the most amount of points out of any team in the conference. And as we can see from the current standings, the one team that's standing in their way from that is
Just Win.
Yes. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty nuts. As you could also see though from this match, Just Bean already played Korodin and beat him 3-1. This was a gentleman's agreement, by the way, where both players agreed no new cards to be played.
No, they that was done away with. They actually played
Oh,
with
it
new
was?
cards. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that got confusing because
They
Jess showed
they
us what
agreed.
happened.
Yeah, they agreed to not do it, and then I guess between them they decided to actually use new cards.
See,
so,
he didn't make that clear in so many words.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, good win for Jess. So.
I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm
It's
just
okay.
glad that he managed to take it home. But we still got 4 big matches happening. We've got, of course, Earl coming in the one for IDK, but instead of playing against the legendary Neji Boston, Neji is taking a break. I assume it's because he's focusing on the MT, right?
Yeah, Neji subbed out, I believe, of every. I don't know if he subbed out of every single series, but he's not playing Legacy or Hero. He's playing the Masters Tour.
And
this
obviously,
weekend, so
right. And obviously, for this match especially, there's not really much at stake. He could definitely afford to. He could definitely afford to take that sub.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you guys got Lotus Knight to come in, so that's a pretty
Oh yeah,
And then
he's
it's
also he's sub. I think the only thing he's not subbing out of is pro.
I believe that. Yeah, I could.
That makes sense.
But that also, I think that's also where like I don't know. They're all his team's already pretty locked in there. Yeah, I guess whatever you could make work, right, with scheduling.
Sure.
But anyway, Lotus Knight coming in. I do want to kind of berate my buddy Lotus Knight for subbing in against my team. Shame on you, Lotus Knight. I love you, but like, come on, man, what are you doing. But I get it. I do get it. He's coming in to help his friends. I'm of course going to be taking on Based, and I'm not going to lie. It's like I'm a little bummed out that I'm having such a great run in Legacy right now, and I have to face somebody who is cracked at the 2 seed and is absolutely killing it this season. But to be fair, she normally is doing it, so can't pretend to be surprised by that. Then, of course, we've got Raptor, one of the newest additions to THL this season. He's having a pretty interesting rookie season at 4-4 right now, and he's got to end his regular season going up against the 8-0 Diamond.
The last remaining undefeated player who has played 8 matches.
Exactly.
So
it's crazy because I really want to see at least one of us get an upset this week to really help us win, because I feel good about Earl taking down Lotus Knight. I definitely think he can pull it off. I'm very worried about Biz though, losing to you. So I'm really counting on myself and Raptor to pick things up. I am going to, and however, for the sake of pulling, I'm going to pull the same thing I did last week, which is I'm going to do a quaz.
Yeah.
Everybody but me wins.
Okay. Yeah.
No question there. Because Base has beat me once before. I won't be surprised if she beats me.
I think I'm so proud of. I'm so happy for my team that we're not just taking the week off. Like, we are all prepping. We're all getting ready. Like, we're sitting at 144 points. Like, technically, we could, like, 143 at the start, but at the same time, I think that this is an important week for both of our teams.
Yeah.
Lotus coming in. I mean, I have teamed with Lotus Knight in Legacy before. He was on, or I captained him. He was on a team that I captained, and it's a joy to get to work with Lotus Knight whenever I get to, both in content and in playing. Diamond is having a very, very good season. It's crazy because Corden and him started pretty far apart in PR this season, and Diamond's now our 3 seed, and like, he's got the ability to play in the 2 seed. Just he doesn't have the PR. His PR has always been pretty low, but he's gotten so good at the game. And I'm excited to play Biz. I haven't gotten to play him before. So, it's going to be a good one between us. I think realistically our team is probably, besides the 1 seed, our team is probably favored on paper, but we'll see how it plays out.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, realistically, Diamond should beat Raptor, but it's not guaranteed. Based versus you is a very close match. Like, record wise, it's so misleading that Base is like, because Base and Neji being 550 PR, they're both like over, like, Base is over 700 true PR, just like insane player. But I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how everything plays out this week. And yeah, I'm hoping to pull out a positive season. It's been really up and down in Legacy for me, it feels like.
I was gonna say, you and I have had opposing, like, we've had 1 series going pretty solidly, and then one series that's been like very even.
Pretty even, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I get that.
I think unbiased look would definitely be good. We'll try to be pretty fast for the rest of this.
Right.
For the rest of the episode.
Comp, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think going quickly is Well, just like as an unbiased observer,
Yep.
I'm kind of rooting for IDK. Like you guys are coming up, like you have the momentum. You got the first win this week, which is awesome. You beat us last week, jerks.
Yeah.
Hard fought, well fought. I do think for sure, Clown's Academy. It's hard to root against them. Like even with Lotus Knight subbing in, base thing, like she's awesome. Like I do think they'll probably pull out the win, unfortunately, but I'm rooting for you guys.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I mean, look, we're thinking about this as if we get a big win this week, then at least we can say we really fought for our playoff spot.
Yes.
We really fought to make sure we had it, because last season we only barely made it because our competition took a big loss at the very end, and we were very frustrated because we were glad to make it, but we also really didn't want it to come down to an unlikely occurrence. It was
yeah.
I think it was Ron Mexico got swept.
Yeah.
And
We
that
had
was like,
our team needed our players to just not get swept, and we would have had the points. But Ron got swept, and so we had no chance. No, I wouldn't complain about a 5-4. I think this is for IDK for record. Yeah, I think that this is a really good.
I mean,
I think that this.
I want us to make. I want to make it after so many seasons.
Sure.
Of
2 in a row.
Of just after like several seasons of getting so close.
Yeah.
I really I want to keep that momentum going from last season.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, hopefully we can help you guys out this week.
Yes. Thank you. All right, let's go on to the next one, shall we?
Yeah. So let's talk about KS3 versus Everyone's a Winner. And yeah, as we talked about, KS3 is like sitting pretty damn close to Dad Legend. There's 4 points between them, so it's like they're gonna root it out, like fight it out for the 4 seed. In red, let's see. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a off chance that Everyone's a Winner can come back and like put up a big win, but I'm actually gonna root for Chaos Theory this week and assume that they're gonna go pull out the win and then pull out the playoff seed. When all said and done, I think Lawful Dog is gonna beat out Yo Daddy. I'll just try to go super fast. Icicles versus Jordan, same. I think probably like Anubinator versus Chewy. Again, Chewy's such a great player. It's hard to root against them. Ryzen, I think, is gonna pull out the win versus Ninja Apple, and I'm gonna say Tom Carter. So I'm gonna say 4-1 KS Theory, with Tom Carter beating out Kodomura. And I'm going to say that Chaos Theory is going to eke out the playoff berth. What do you guys think?
I think Chaos Theory is barely going to get there. I think they're actually similar to my team in that they've I think they did make.
Oh God, this team is the ultimate bubble team. God.
Well, I would say they're tied with us as being.
But your team made playoffs last season.
Yeah, but we've also bubbled about the same.
I know
the
you
same
have.
amount of
I know
times
you
as
have.
them.
I know you have.
Like the crazy part is though, I would say that my team was the only. My team has had every time we bubbled, it was like we were kind of always doing pretty solidly all the way through. But Chaos Theory has had seasons where like they were starting off strong, kind of fell off, and then just barely missed it at the end. Like they've had others where they've been like it's very close and like they just barely miss it. It's like, yeah. It's but I think this season, like this is arguably the best roster they've had lined up, and I mean, looking at it from top to bottom, it's like, wait, Chewy's in the 3? What? But also like Risen in the 4 is pretty solid. Lawful Dog at the 1, and of course your boy Isocles in the team captain in the 2. But that's not to say Everyone's a Winner isn't a strong team in their right. They've got some pretty recognizable players, some strong names like Yo Daddy, Anubinator, Tom Carter. I think they're they could give them a good run for their money, but frankly, I think this is just between Lawful Dog, Isocles, and Kodomura. I think they're going to take this. Two, at the very least. So I'm rooting for them. I feel like they got a real shot, and I hope that they carry that momentum.
So, I think this is a close one. I think the top two for Chaos Theory, I think it leans towards them. Lawful versus Yo Daddy, and Isocles versus Jordan MG. I'm good friends with Jordan. And he's he's kind of had an up and down kind of a. I think he had a pretty good start, and then he's kind of fizzled out to by the end of the season. I think Chewy versus Nubinator is very close, but I'm gonna say Nubs gets the win. I'm gonna root for my friend and my wild teammate, Risen versus Ninjapple. Very close one. I don't know much about Ninjapple. I know quite a bit about Risen, as he and I have faced a few times now. And I'm gonna say that I'm gonna vote for Ninjapple, and I'm gonna say that Tom wins. I think it's gonna go to. I think everyone's a winner can get the weak win, and I think that denies Chaos Theory playoffs again. Unfortunately, because of I think Dad Legend gets enough points against F2L to kind of get in that to kind of get the win. I mean, it could also be if F2L White actually just from here wins out, because it's 1-1 in matches. If they win the rest of the three, then that would be really bad for Dad Legend. But I think everyone's a winner has a good chance if they and they can take it. They're strong players. A couple of them are in their first season in Legacy, and to see them having like 500 records is against playing in like seeds where they have to go up against sometimes like 200 PR above them. It is very good to see them playing well.
Yeah.
So, see how that one plays out. We've got one more match on the docket. We've got Silver Conference. I have picked All Points Matter versus Hearthstone Academy. So matchups, we have Avi versus Hockey Boys. We have GC10 versus Ron Mexico. The Chosen Pie versus the Big Ted. Two-Star Mako versus Chewbacca. And we have Laughing Frog versus Charup. Very interesting matchup here. APM, I think APM does. I think Chosen Pie won over Ted. It's just not updated on my screenshot because when I looked at the standings, looks like it was a 3-1 for Pie. So that one, we already have that one. We have that figured out. Thank you, Bone Masher. Because
that's Red Conference, right?
That's Silver, and it is a 3-1 for Chosen Pie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I see it.
So yeah, so we have just a set of. We just have 4 matches to look at. Avi versus Hockey Boys. I think Hockey Boys can pull the upset here over Avi. I think Ron versus Cheesy. Ron's his PR has dropped a lot with some poor seasons. Do not let that 482 PR or 492 PR fool you. He is a 550 PR player. I think Ron takes it over Cheesy Town. And Mako versus Shu, I think goes to Mako. He's having a very strong season. Even though Shu is also having a great season at 6-2. I'm gonna pull for Mako, and then Laughing Frog versus Charup. Charup hasn't necessarily had the best back half of his season. I think Laughing Frog takes it in the 5. So I think it goes 3-2 for APM, but HSA gets the top 2 wins in the top 2.
Yeah, I like that a lot in general. I feel like Hockey Boys is like it's always hard to root against them, even though Avi's like also an amazing player. So I think I'd eke out the upset for Hockey. I agree with Ron 1000%. As much as Cheesy's like amazing, it's like hard to root against either of them. but I'll go with the upset, or I'll go with Ron beating out Cheesy, and then I would go lean towards Shabaka versus Mako, and kind of basically the same, and Charup over Laughing Frog. So actually, maybe I might give the slight edge to Hearthstone Academy this week, 3-2.
Yeah. I'm torn on this because I feel like all of these matches could go either way. But I think for the sake of simplicity and because I don't want to take up too much time, I'm gonna say I'm gonna be going with like who I think is more favored on paper.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say Avi wins in the 1. Although I will just say Avi versus Hockey is like
That's
such
old,
an awesome
that's old
clash
school.
of like old school THL players. Like Hockey, Avi joined like shortly after I joined THL. Hockey was already there when I joined. Hockey I will always remember as being the person I had to beat to guarantee my team's playoffs at the very end of Legacy. So that was pretty fun. I'm gonna say Ron does take it over Cheesy. Shu takes it over Mako. And Laughing Frog over Cherub.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's going to be a 3-2 APM.
Nice.
I also think it would be pretty cool to see Bone Masher get all 3 of his teams standard series make it playoffs. 4 if you count APM Yang, which is also possible. But it's also interesting how 3 of those 4 teams are looking like they're going to make playoffs, not technically. So obviously APM is the only one that's actually at them.
Yeah. All right. Some good thoughts. Some great matches to be played. Yeah, that's all we got for matches for this evening. We're gonna head back to the main screen. We have I do not have that many matches actually confirmed. I can give the Discord channel a check, but I know the only one that I know for sure is my co-host to my co-host next to me, JR Jugger. Sorry, I was trying to do pointing on my screen on the stream, if you can see. JR versus Mick in Hero Series. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. That'll happen right after Wild and Out. Which is our Wild Series show tomorrow, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Myself, Marty B, and guests will be talking about Wild Series.
Yes.
So
keep in mind, next week especially, we really want to make sure we get a lot of we really want to get a lot of matches on stream.
Yeah.
As we get to playoffs, we try to have as many matches on stream as possible. The farther we get, the more matches we want to make sure to in fact get on stream.
Indeed.
We also want to remind y'all though that when it comes to like another incentive to do this is the fact that as Donde has pointed out, there are going to be spots in our big
March Madness
tournament.
Yeah.
For those who appear on stream the most. So if you didn't have enough incentive to do so already, I think that should give you, that should be enough by itself.
For sure. So yeah, we have one more match as well besides that one confirmed, which is Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have your Mumked versus Jammies in Hero. So that's another great match. That'll be on stream. So we talked about that one. There's no pros here versus APM Yang, which is important. So that's all the confirmed matches I have. That's seems like that's gonna do it for all the information I have to give out to everybody. Make sure to be keeping up, although just obviously be keeping up with announcements on the Discord, content announcements as well as events.
Yep. Keep in mind, of course, next week we will be talking about. We'll be making our official playoff predictions as far as how the matches are going to go, and we will also be discussing both especially for Legacy, we'll be talking about the teams that are going to be playing next week, as well as the teams that made it in in as buys. So there's going to be plenty to talk about content-wise. And obviously, if you want to find out more about how some of these matches play out and talk about the inner details of that, Hearth Center will be discussing these next Tuesday. So be sure to always check that out if you're looking to find out more about the actual match outcome, since we will not be discussing those in as much detail on our show. All right? So we want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. As we said, as Fish said, there is going to be Wild and Out tomorrow night, followed by my match with Mick. I don't know if he's still watching, but if he is, Mick, I'm looking forward to playing you. We're going to have a fun match, a gentleman's game, as you will. Hopefully I can end my regular season in Hero on a high note, but worst case scenario, I just aim to go for a rematch against him in playoffs. So at least I don't have that on my shoulders at the moment.
For sure.
We also want a special thank you to Comp for joining us today on such short notice and for being a fantastic co-host as we expected. Thank you, Comp, for showing up tonight.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait. This is like my favorite week in THL, right? The last week.
Yeah, last week is always great.
Yeah, because it's like we always have the most things we can discuss. Like we talk about how, like, as the season progresses more and more, there's more things we can actually discuss as far as where teams are, how teams are performing, what we expect the playoff picture to look like, etc. So, definitely glad you got to be a part of that. But again, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you all next week, and in the meantime, take care of yourselves and have a fantastic weekend.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, bro.